Welcome to this episode of North Texas Talks. I'm your host, Scott Ochoa, in the wonderful CBC Creative Conference Room, looking out over the downtown Sherman area. Big shout out to the CBC Creative folks for letting us use their place. And today we have a really great guest, Howard Day, and you're running for sheriff in Grayson County 2016.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your qualifications, your experience. What makes you a good choice for sheriff?
Well, I'm bringing 30 years of military experience to the job. I've done both active and reserve duty. And after a couple of active duty tours, I'd always wanted to be a police officer. So in 1997, I graduated from the McKinney Police Academy, not too far from here, and started my law enforcement career. Since graduating the academy, I've worked at the city, the county, and also at the federal levels. So pretty diverse background.
Wow. And from your experience and your knowledge, what do you think is the biggest issue facing the sheriff's office right now?
Well, we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. I don't want anybody to be mistaken for a moment. There's a lot of challenges facing our sheriff's office right now. For me, the number one thing on my to-do list has to do with officer safety. It's come to my attention during the course of the campaign, meeting with members of the sheriff's office and some of the other agencies, that we have some blind spots, some dead spots in our radio communication system. For the average citizen, that may not mean a lot, but for the men and women in our local police departments that utilize our sheriff's office communication center, and of course for our deputies, we're sending them in harm's way every day. They need to be able to key up a radio and call for help if it's needed. And right now, unfortunately, around the county, we have dead spots on those radios, and I need to get that fixed right away.
Wow, that sounds like a huge issue. I know, speaking from my own military experience, that's always a huge issue. You always need to make sure that your personnel have a way to call back and communicate with the resources that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea that they are protecting us 24 hours a day, we need to give them the tools and the resources they need to do their job. They have families to go home to, and we need to make sure that they have a radio system that works.
Okay. There's been a lot of things happening at the sheriff's office, leadership, management, whatever you want to call it, but there's been some changes recently that we've all known a little bit about what's going on, different levels depending on how close you are to the issues. Would you care to give us a note or two, your thoughts about what's happening and what's going on?
Yeah, there's been some turmoil recently at the sheriff's office, and that's unfortunate. Sheriff Gary is finishing 20 years as our sheriff here in Grayson County, and unfortunately, there's been some issues that have come to light recently. We know about the T-Cole investigation into training records. We've had some personnel shifts recently, and one of the other candidates recently resigned from their position at the sheriff's office. So we have some real challenges across the street right now.
Definitely. You think you're the man for the job, obviously. You're running. But you're not just running, but you were asked to run. It wasn't, you're in the area, you're interested, and I think I'm going to run for sheriff. What's up with that?
Well, I was actually assigned in Washington, D.C. I'd been recalled to active duty and was working with our Wounded Warrior program. And I've maintained my police officer license, keeping up my training records, of course, taking the classes I was required to do. But I was also, I had also been sworn in as a reserve officer out in Tom Bean about 2 years ago now. And so I was flying 1 weekend a month from Washington, D.C. to Tom Bean, Texas, putting on a patrolman's uniform and going out making traffic stops and taking 911 calls. And after a few months of that, there were folks back here that remembered me from the area, and they sat down with me and said they had some real concerns about the upcoming sheriff's race. They knew there were some challenges facing the agency. They thought the solution was to bring somebody in from the outside, somebody who wasn't connected here, part of the Sherman syndicate, if you will, a local boy, right? Somebody that had a much more diverse background, could come in with a clean slate, a fresh perspective, look at the organization, restructure it as it was needed to prepare it for the future. And so they started talking to me about this about a year and a half ago. And each month that I would fly in, I would meet with different people. They shared some of their concerns. And after about 4 months, I sat down with my family and said, look, this is what we're being asked to do. I was approaching the end of my 30-year military career, and here was another call to service. So after weighing the pros and cons, we decided this was going to be the next chapter. We had been asked to come home to Texas and serve our community. So a year ago, January 14th, we launched our campaign, and we're going to do our best to win it on March 1st. I had some great leaders. I had some great mentors that gave me opportunities both in my law enforcement career and in my military career that set me up for success, and I owe a lot to them. There are some out there that don't believe that those skills that we learn in the military transfer into the law enforcement community, and I couldn't disagree more. This is about leadership, particularly the sheriff's office. We don't need an administrator. We don't need a manager. This organization needs a leader, somebody who's going to take some chances, who's going to stand behind the men and women of the sheriff's office, give them the tools and resources that they need, and lead this organization down the road. So I do believe that I have those skills, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be some exciting times around the sheriff's office.
Wow. Well, maybe we'll see you wearing that hat, so to speak, and look forward to your adventures there. It'd be a great chapter to continue on after the military.
Absolutely.
For sure. We hope you enjoyed this episode of North Texas Talks, again, right here in CBC Creative, overlooking the Sherman downtown area. We had Howard Day on today talking to us about the sheriff election 2016. Of course, you're running. So thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw and you're watching over there on Facebook, be sure to like this post and also share it with your family and friends. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the episode. And if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to the North Texas Talks channel on YouTube. That would be awesome. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, we'll see you next time.